Good morning, ghosties and ghoulies. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have something really exciting to share with you. As I mentioned in our last video, I was working on a bit of a paranormal game, and I've completed working on it. So I have it together now, and I'm quite excited about it because it is kind of a fun game. I've been playing around with it for quite a while now and enjoying it a lot. If you are the kind of person who likes games like Scrabble or Boggle or Word Search, this will definitely be a game that appeals to you. And you're certainly welcome to use it as not in having paranormal connotations at all. You can play it just as a straight game. But the way that it is put together, it actually is an aid to helping you open up your third eye and to help you start to listen to your intuition a little bit more and to kind of hone those kinds of skills. Get more in touch with your psychic nature and your ability to be in contact with the spirit realm and listen to your spirit guides. So it's a lot of fun. What you'll need for the game are two different dice. You need a D20, which is a 20-sided die. And you can buy these online, but you can buy them if you're in the Pictou County area at a little place called Fly By Night Comics, Cards and Collectibles. So it's Fly By Night. It's down on Provost Street in New Glasgow. So that's where you can grab these. And you also need a 6-sided die, which you can pretty much grab anywhere. And it doesn't have to have numbers on it. It can just have the spots. You know what they mean. So this is what you're going to need for the game, and really essentially this is all that you need for the game, as long as you have a pen and some paper. Now, what I did is create an actual game sheet. You can create this yourself if you like, or I do have it linked in the description down below, and it's essentially how to play the game. The little word graph, this is the one thing you might need, and I can take a picture of it. You can just use it off your video if you want. But of course, this is available for download, and it's completely free. I'm not charging for it or anything like that. The game sheet is available, and separate game charts, that it's just the chart. Now, really, if you want to do this at home and you don't want to go to the bother of downloading it, all you need is to make this graph, and it's simply a 3-row 6-column graph, and I'll explain to you how it's used. So I'm going to move the camera and we're going to get started, and I'll give you a good description of exactly how this works and exactly how to get your intuition kind of popping and engaged. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, so now you can have a little quick look at the sheet here, and like I said, I will take a picture of the sheet so that you can see it better. But this is just an example of showing you how to play the game. Essentially, what you're going to do is use the dice to determine the letters. Now, this graph here, the graph 1 and 2 here, they are not just A to Z, because how often do you use Z in a word? So there is some letter combinations, as well as the vowel graph, or what would be the vowel graph, also has some consonants in it. And this was developed so that we would get a good mix of vowels and consonants in order to make it a little easier to make words and a little easier for the spirit to connect. So the first thing I'm going to do when I start this game, since I am using it for the purposes of developing intuition and developing communication with the spirit world, is ask the spirits to be with me. So I'm going to ask that if there's a spirit with me in my presence here, that you please try and communicate with me through the dice. And so I'm going to roll, and I'm going to start to fill in these graphs. I'm going to fill in 4 graphs completely, and then we're going to start the intuitive process on that. And actually finding the words is a little bit intuitive as well. So I'm going to start rolling, and I'll show you how this is rolled. So essentially you roll both die. Okay, so we've got a 2. So the sum is 2. So the sum goes in here, and that is the letter B. And then the D6 is a 1, which is on this chart, the number 2 chart, and it is an A. And then the 20 is also an A. Okay, so we filled in the first roll, and we're going to roll for the second row here. So this is 19. That's an S. The D6 is an O. and the D20 is a 15, which is also an O. So already I'm starting to see an interesting pattern developing, which I'm finding that really interesting, actually more so than I thought I would, and I'll get to the intuitive part of it after, but continue to roll.
Once upon a winter's night, reading by the firelight, I thought I heard a rapping, tapping on my window. There was no raven, was no crow.
So I've completed one chart. Before I move on to the next chart, I will actually start to try and pick out words in this chart so that if there is something that's standing out to me, I can start to ask for clarity from the spirit who is with us. Hopefully there is someone with us. I have a feeling that there may be because of the layout of some of these letters. So I'm going to pick through, and I'm going to speed up that footage, and then when we're done, we're going to move on to rolling for the next chart.
Thought I heard a knock and a rattle at my kitchen door. There was no raven, was no crow.
Okay, so I've got a few words here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it for demonstration purposes, but generally I would spend just a little bit of more time and attention picking out words. But we do have a series of words here, and it's kind of interesting to me on a personal level, and I'll explain why. The words that popped immediately for me were boo, song, sing, having, sang, which is really, really interesting because this studio that I'm working in right now used to be my music studio. And I believe that the last album that I ever recorded in this studio was a little ditty called POE'S GHOST, which was entirely about paranormal topics. It's available on Bandcamp. I'll stick the topic down, or the link down below. You can check that out. It's free. You're free to download and free to listen to. So I find it kind of interesting that in this particular room, boo, song, sing, having, sang is coming up. And I'm kind of contemplating whether my spirit guides, who I know were with me during the recording and writing of that album, are with me today. And I have a feeling that they may be, just the way that this is laying out. So I'm going to ask them now if they can give some clarity, if they are my spirit guide, and give me a sign or a name in regard to that, or if they have anything else that they want to talk to me about. And then what I'm going to do is continue to fill out the rest of the graphs and allow the graphs to make sense. So I'm going to do that now.
I would be a gracious host, making tea for POE'S GHOST.
And here I'm going to stop and say that you can do this way if you like. You can continue to fill out all 4 graphs, or however many you want to use. If you don't feel like you have enough clarity and you want to add more graphs to it and fill out more and allow more words to happen, that's entirely your decision. You can play with this as much as you like. You can add rows. You can change the key here as to what letters represented by which numbers. So you can personalize this to something that you feel more comfortable with, or that you feel is working for you better if you feel like this isn't working for you. I do feel like this is working for me, but I have stopped on the second graph just because I wanted you to know you can stop in between graphs, ask more questions, ask for more clarity, take a few deep breaths, get into a meditative state, and try and connect with spirit before you start rolling again. So I am going to actually search the words on this first and then continue with the next graph.
Was no raven, was no crow, just the wind and nothing more. Death would be a welcome guest on such a lonely night as this. I would be a gracious host, making tea.
So I have it filled out now, and I have some rudimentary words picked out, and this is where the intuition comes in, and kind of knowing yourself, knowing your experience, and letting yourself kind of relax in sort of a meditative way look at the words, see if you can find more words, and see what they mean to you. And when you start to see similarities in them, like, I definitely feel like this is definitely connected to this space that I'm in right now, because this is the last album that I actually did create here of any note. And yeah, I think Boo's song Sing Having Sang is a pretty good indication that, we had a little light flicker there as well, so that might be indicative that whatever spirit was with me when I was writing that album might be present here today, and I think it might be. So what you start to do is look at the words and pick out similarities on things that sort of go together. We've had quit a couple of times, which means that the spirit might actually not be willing to communicate at the moment. And if that is the case, where you have something like goodbye, a very clear, indication that this doesn't want to communicate with you right at the moment, or quit several times, then it is certainly okay to call it a night on the game. You certainly don't want to push yourself on a spirit if he's not willing to communicate, or if you're having an argument with him, which I am at the moment. This is definitely related to a spirit guide that I have contact with when I write music. And I have been in a bit of an argument with my music making abilities of the last year or so, and haven't been making any music. So I am in a bit of an argument with my spiritual guide on my music making abilities. So yes, I have to a certain extent quit music. So this could also be a message in and around that. So I think that we've managed these ones. So in this chart, we have quit again, which comes up a couple of times. We also have Stone Heist, List Hook Fist Host John, which is interesting. There are things that may be similarities. A hook in a song, if it relates back to this, is actually a piece of a song which is like the catchiest part of the song. And most of the time it is the title as well. So this could be relating back to the music. But a hook is also a fist, a right hook, if you've ever heard of that kind of thing. So these two could actually be related. I don't know what a heist and stone have to do with each other, but they seem to be connecting in my mind for some reason. Stone heist. Stone heist. So I'm not sure what that one is, but this is something that's in further graphs, and if I want to continue the game, I could ask for clarity around these words in particular and see what kind of messages I might be getting around them. Yeah, and if we go here again, I have a feeling that I am not going to continue this experiment today, because the messages I'm getting are clearly quit and go home. That is exactly the words that I got in this particular graph. The only words that popped for me were quit, go home. And it may be my mental, it could be that the spirits don't want to speak to me right now, which is fine. They don't have to. They're people too. We don't want to impose our will upon anybody. But it can also be a relationship to my current mental state, or my recent mental state about music making, and the lack of success or failure I've had, or amount of success or failure I've had around the music industry. And yes, I did get to a point, especially after having written the particular album that this relates back to, POE'S GHOST, that I was going to hang it up, and that I was going to essentially quit and go home. So this could definitely be relating back to this first grid. Now this last grid is very interesting, because I got the name Joe, which stood out. I also got the name John, which stood out. And the other the other words there, this is very interesting to me. When I was writing music on a more serious basis, or writing music at all, because I haven't been in a long time, oftentimes I would use word games in order to come up with ideas for songs. So this kind of playing around with words and letters is not brand new to me. It's just this iteration and use for it that is new to me. But oftentimes I would do sticktomancy, which is another technique of divination and of communication with the spirit world, and just pull words and then try to make song names or interesting ideas out of them for songs. So this was actually very much a technique. So if you're a songwriter or a poet or a writer or someone creative, you could use this game as something not paranormal and something to connect you to your subconscious, which this I feel may be doing actually. Along with, I know that there's a spirit guide in there trying to tell me something, but I'm not listening at the moment because we're in an argument, which happens occasionally. But I think that this stanza here is actually giving me a very interesting, because the words that I got for it are Joe open, which to me is significant as far as a spirit being open to communication, which is cool. But it also gave me the words that stood out: last omen of and storm. And I had the last omen of the storm, which is a very evocative sounding sentence to me. And to me, this may be something that subconsciously or spiritually I'm connecting with in order to create some kind of work around it, be it a short story or a song or a poem or something of that nature. It's very evocative to me, and it's very compelling to me. So, like I said, you can use this for spiritual communication with your spirit guides and to try and communicate with whatever energies might be around you. But you can also use this to communicate with yourself and to communicate with your subconscious. So consciously I may be telling myself a lot about my prior history with music, and a lot about how I'm feeling about that part of my life. So this isn't all just paranormal. Some of this has a psychological implication as well. So this is really quite interesting to me. This was an interesting grid. If you get the sheets are free to download. I will put them in I will put a link down below for these. You can completely download them. They're absolutely free, but you can make your own. It's not hard to do. And if you want to play around with kind of graphing out different letters for different numbers, you're certainly welcome to do that. Anything that you feel is going to work for you, that's what you want to do. If you do feel like you've had spiritual connection and got messages through the game, when you are finished playing, please say thank you to the spirits for any messages that you may have received, and ask them to depart in peace and say goodbye. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm just going to do that off camera. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you give it a try. And if you give it a try and you have some results, please let me know what they are, because I'm fascinated to know if this is working for other people in the way that it's working for me. If you're interested in paranormal games and in exploring your own intuition and your ability to connect with the spirit world, there is a wonderful game out for Halloween, and it is provided by today's sponsor, which is Ghost Walks Incorporated. They have a fantastic game called A Haunting at Home. I will include the link down below, and here's their little film. They are super fun to play, and completely safe. There's nothing going to attach to you. You have a guide throughout the whole thing. So if you're looking for something fun to do for Halloween or some more paranormal games, you can definitely find them over there. If you use the code and you decide you want to buy the game, you can use the code Pictou, Pictou, and that's my code, and you can get 20% off your purchase. So feel free to do that. Again, if you're looking for D20s, check out the little collectibles shop in New Glasgow that I mentioned. fly-by-night comics, cards, and collectibles. A lot of great for any of your gaming needs. If you need stuff for D&D, Warhammer, any kind of gaming like that, board gaming, and comics, they're fantastic for that if you're into that stuff. So that's where you can find these, but you can also find them pretty cheaply and easily online anywhere. So thank you for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. I certainly did. I definitely have to address some issues with my spirit guide, I have a feeling. If you enjoyed it, please like and comment in the comment section. Please subscribe because that helps us out. And give the notification bell a dingle so that we can let you know when the next video is. There will be one coming out next week. Again, I'm trying to upload on a weekly schedule of Tuesday, so hopefully that'll be happening. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Until next time, be safe. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night, because they're there in the light too.